Helen on 3FM 92.7.
We're both in pink, which is nice.
Keeping it real with AJ, Edith, and Helen on 3FM 92.7.
Swakopons.
So say it after me. Swakop.
Swakop.
Mund.
Mond.
Swakopmund.
Swakomond.
Swakopmund.
Eh?
But the but the residents all call it Swakop for short.
Swakop.
Swakop. Swakopmund. So Mund means mouth. Swakop means river.
So river mouth.
River mouth. So basically, Swakopmund was founded in 1892 by a guy called Captain von Francois.
Ooh.
German guy, and this
But
is when
he was not Swakopom.
he wasn't Swakopmund,
Okay.
but that's just the translation, mouth of the river.
Okay.
And this is at the time when the British had their own seaports in a place called Walvis Bay.
Ooh.
And so the Germans also thought, well, that was their territory, and they thought they also needed their own ports to necessitate trade between themselves and, the colony. At that time, Namibia was essentially part of South Africa. It was called Southwestern Africa before they gained independence in 1990. Wow. So a little history about Swakopmund. And when you go there, it's basically like you're in a quaint German town.
Okay.
The architecture,
Everything is very...
everything, the street names. It's very clean. The weather, though, is cold. Super naive. I thought South Africa, they be
Yeah.
Oh, my bon.
You went with summer
Girl,
wedding clothes.
I mean, other than, when you travel, typically
Just
you
a
have a
jacket,
little jacket, and then,
yeah.
just because, I'm British, so I had like tights in my suitcase, you're part of the cause. But now me nim that I have to take a winter jacket. I said, this
was
is
that
Africa.
cold?
Shit, me pim pam shorts, African shorts, and he said,
Wow.
I'm
You're
gonna
show
have my
skin.
leg out,
Yeah,
skin out, leg out, arm out, back out, skin out, pum out. Yeah, me share that jacket. Me feel it, and against that scarf, ladies, Swakopmund really
It dealt with you.
dealt with me. But the people were really friendly. The food was not that juicy. They eat a lot of meat. You know how the South
Very
Africans
South
have the
African.
braai.
Yeah.
They like to braai. But all the sauces were sweet. The carrots was cooked in sugar.
Wow.
They don't really like.
insects.
Yes, I mean I did try the caterpillar.
tried
Super
to eat-
juicy. I ate
the
it.
caterpillar.
Imagine, like,
But you ladies are adventurous. Would you not try
No, ma'am.
a
No.
deep fried,
No.
juicy
Thank you.
caterpillar?
No, ma'am.
But we
No,
have it
ma'am.
here, what we call akokono.
yeah,
Quite
Yeah,
similar.
yeah,
More
yeah,
racist,
yeah,
though. So they served it with something called pap. It was my first time trying it.
South African pap.
South African pap, and had it with again something that looked like kuntumri.
It's like colored greens everywhere. It's like everyone has a version of greens.
So then you have it, and it's like this is marinated in some herbs, and then char grilled, very
I don't
tasty.
even know what will make me taste this, really.
But you're adventurous in other ways.
Yeah, in other ways.
When they tell you to taste something else, dear, first in line, best in line, first in news, best in entertainment.
Yeah.
But that was. That was a small digression, and definitely ties into what we're discussing. Those of you who like to put interesting things in your mouth, you can certainly identify me. Ooh, you too.
We are going to be speaking about putting interesting things in our mouth.
Oh boy,
Especially
Amongst
what
many
she
others. Yeah.
yeah.
We're talking oral.
Oh, are we?
We are. Okay, all right. Hi, Miss Judy. How are you?
I'm good. Yourself.
You're so excited about putting things in your mouth.
No, I'm not.
Oh, you're not? Okay. Do you put things in your mouth?
Yeah, I eat a lot.
Apart from food. That's an innocent question.
It's not about us, all right, AJ. Today we're here to facilitate the conversation.
You don't
We're
know
going
anything about it.
exactly. We know nothing. We've
You know
seen
that
nothing.
you've never tasted anything that
You're-
is not
you're
food.
virgins. We don't know what you're talking about.
Your mouth hasn't gone to places to give pleasure.
Hey,
It's a question. It's a question.
Like kissing. We kiss sometimes.
Oh, you use your mouth to give pleasure through kissing.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. Some of us wouldn't know, like we're purely.
Well,
gay.
somebody is going to have to know and, kickstarts the conversation.
That's why Stephanie Benson is our guest today. Woo! Now she has spoken quite eagerly about how to put things in your mouth.
Okay.
And the benefits thereof of putting things in your mouth.
Okay.
That is not food, and that gives pleasure to others.
Okay.
Not you necessarily, but sometimes you. Yeah.
News to me. News to me.
Okay. And we'll also have a doctor on the line. So today we're going to be going through spicing up the bedroom. So a lot of times there are conversations about how to bring some spice, some light, some excitement into the bedrooms, especially from the women and the men as well. After a while being with someone, it gets a bit monotonous, I've been told. I have been told, yeah.
Sure.
Like, I mean, I'm not going to a point where it's been monotonous to me. I mean, I don't understand that.
No, I think she's trying to say she's never been bored. Like, she's still having so
Still,
much
the
fun.
excitement is there.
Yeah.
Which
We
is
get it.
nice, which is nice. But eventually, the excitement gives way to a bit of boredom. So it's nice that you're still very much in the
in the good
peak
mood.
season of the,
It wasn't me. I wasn't placing myself. I've heard that people when in relationships, sometimes they can move from excitement to a bit more routine. I would never know because as someone who doesn't really do that, I wouldn't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
Noted.
duly noted.
Yes, do carry on though. Yes, things get stale and then
you want to jazz it up, do different things to create some excitement in the bedroom.
Oh la la.
Some like to bring in extra utility tools like toys.
Okay.
Some choose to use different parts of their bodies to give different kinds of pleasure and try and do different styles, and some prefer to use their mouth in a process called oral sex.
Oh,
Dun,
class
dun, dun.
is in session.
So we will be speaking to a doctor about oral sex. What really is oral sex for those that are considering? What are the benefits of oral sex beyond pleasure that I've been told? And of course, what are some of the dangers involved, if there are any, with oral sex? We'll be joined by Dr. Kweku Obriyeboa, who is a family physician, specialist, and chief medical officer at the HealthNet Medical Center, and Stephanie Benson, who is an international musician, women's rights advocate, and all-round super cool woman. And together with myself, Helen, and Ms. Jure, we'll try and understand how to spice up our bedrooms in a nice, exciting way. But what is oral sex? If you've ever heard about it, seen it happen, watched it some way.
She said, seen it happen. Yeah, just the other day. Seen it happen.
Wait, you saw it where?
No, because AJ was like, "Wait, have you ever seen it happen?" I was like, "Yeah, just randomly walking through life,
You never
just
know, you're
seeing
just
it
like,
happen to my left, to my right,
Just
you
all
feel
over the
me,
place.
all over the place." I mean, in terms of spicing up, the bedroom, I do think though that oral sex isn't really the sort of thing that people would necessarily use to spice things up. I think for most people, they would say it's part of the entire process.
So it's moved from being an extra to becoming a main
I think
necessity.
so. I think a lot of
Okay.
people will tell you
It's
that.
become foreplay.
For example, I
okay.
think some people might say, well, it's just part of the process. Although for some people, it's not something that they think. I think for some people it's more special, right? It's an extra, it's an add-on as opposed to being the norm. But I would say if you were to run a poll and ask about 100 people if they think oral sex really spices up the bedroom, they would probably say, "Oh, it's part and parcel
Already.
of the entire
So it's
process."
not really much of a spicing as a main. It's like it's become a norm.
A norm.
Yeah.
But what I do hear, especially I would say from men, is that as opposed to it being something you spice up the bedroom with, they might say that it's something that they reserve for maybe a more special lady. Although I do think they're lying.
Yeah.
And they're doing it to everybody. They're just talking to make you feel special and be like, So I feel like, especially I hear that from male friends, well, she, if she's special, then she gets that type of treatment, but not necessarily because it's spicing things up. It's relegated because it's such a personal thing as well. You know what I'm saying? You have to have that level of intimacy with somebody to indulge in certain types of sex, and that's so personal.
Okay.
You might want to know the person's, hygiene. Of course, STDs abound, so hopefully this is somebody that you trust, and maybe whatever state it is, about their STD status.
Yeah.
So I think that is more so what makes it have extra layers is because of just how personal it is. I mean, the whole sex act is actually quite personal.
There's some acts that
there are some acts that bring it even more personal. People would say that, well, you can use protection when you are indulging in oral sex, but to be honest, that's kind of like eating the toffee with the wrapper.
Oh wow! Well, we'll speak to on Zoom now. We have our guest joining us, Dr. Kweku Obrieboa, who's a family physician specialist and chief medical officer at HealthNet Medical Center, and as well Stephanie Benson, one of my favorite musicians, international musician and women's rights advocate. Hi, Dr. Kweku and Stephanie. Can you hear us? Are you on the line? Thank you for joining us. Okay. Hello. Hello.
Hello, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hi. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. Doc, I will first bring you into the conversation to sort of explain the intricacies with oral sex. Some people say it's become sort of like a norm in terms of sexual acts or expected sexual acts. But in the grand scheme of things, what are some of the I don't know if dangers is the right word, but what are some of the pros and the cons of indulging in oral sex? Dr. Obrieboa.
Right, thank you, and good evening to you, and good evening to your listeners.
Good evening, Doc.
Can you
Please
hear
go
me?
ahead. Yes, please. We can hear you perfectly. Please go ahead.
Right, good. So, oral sex, I believe we all know what it is. That is one partner stimulating the genitals of the other with the tongue or the lips. That is basically oral sex. So one is the recipient and the other is the giver at any particular point in time. Your question was pros and cons or dangers involved. Obviously, with the excitement it brings with sex, especially foreplay and other things, I think that one is a known fact. I'm sure Stephanie will delve more into that. I would concentrate on the risks, if any, associated with oral sex. So it's a form of sex, and we all know the dangers associated with having sex. If you are not sure of the status of the partner, then there's a risk of contracting STIs or sexually transmitted infections. So almost all the infections that can be transmitted through penetrative sex, that is where the penis and vagina is involved. Anyone who engages in oral sex is at risk of contracting the same thing. The only advantage with oral sex is that there is no room for pregnancy, which is the only form of advantage associated with oral sex. But in terms of infections and whatnot, yes, the risk is there as well.
Can't we add pleasure to the list to benefits as well?
Of course, pleasure is established. Yes, of course.
Now,
so long as both partners are comfortable with it, yes, it's pleasurable.
Now, are there ways to sort of make it a little safer? Because with the risk of STDs prevalent with oral sex, isn't there any ways of sort of making it a little more safe to be able to indulge in it?
Yes. So, like we'll say in reproductive health or sexual education, the safest is abstinence. So if you can abstain, by all means, you abstain. But you should know your partner and trust your partner. And there are barrier methods, but I heard one of your panelists say that it's like eating toffee with a wrapper on it. So the safest we would say is the male partner, if the male is a recipient, the male having a condom on before receiving oral sex from the female partner. And if it's a female receiving, there are some form of latex or rubber lining, like the thin lining, like the condom, which can be, some males be put over their mouth or spread over the vulva, the vaginal area, before the act takes place. Otherwise, then it will be more of protecting each other. So if you know that you have an STI, such as having any form of discharge, female having a vaginal discharge or a male having a penile discharge, or if you have any rashes around the genital area or around your mouth, or if you have any sores in your mouth or around your genital area, then you don't indulge in oral sex. And also the females during the menstrual period where there is bleeding, or just after menses where there may be some remnants of the blood in there, then you don't indulge in oral sex to protect your partner. So those are basically how to make it safe, using the barrier methods, which is the condom or the latex to protect direct contact, or if you have any signs or symptoms of sexually transmitted infection, then you avoid oral sex during that period.
Now, also, there's been conversations as well surrounding the linkages between oral sex and throat cancer. If you'd like to shed some light on that.
Yes. So there are a number of infections that can be contracted through oral sex. And one of the infections is HPV, the human papilloma virus. And that is the virus that is implicated in cervical cancer. But it's also been implicated in oral cancer, that is cancer of the mouth. And that has also been found in some people who have had throat cancer. And this virus is transmitted through sexual intercourse. So if it is oral sex, there is oral sex, and one partner has the infection, then the one using the tongue or the lips can contract it, and then you develop oral cancer or throat cancer. There are other infections like HSV, which is herpes simplex. We have the oral herpes, those who have cold sores or fever blisters around the lips. You can have that and also have it on the genitalia as well, the penis or the vaginal area. And the common STIs like gonorrhea, chlamydia, syphilis can all be contracted through oral sex. Even HIV can be contracted through oral sex. Oh, wow. But the risk is a bit lower in oral sex unless you have a cut or a sore in your mouth or a cut or a sore in the genital area, then the risk is higher.
Okay. Wonderful. Now, we'll come back to you, Doc, on a few more questions, but let me bring in Stephanie into the conversation. Hi, Stephanie. Welcome.
Hey, Ray. Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Maybe I should turn this the other way, but yeah, go on. Sorry.
You look absolutely gorgeous, by the way. Quickly going into it. Now, on the issue of oral sex, sometimes there are conversations that seem to turn towards men being the bigger recipients of it than women. The men tend to sort of get the women to indulge in it more, but they're not necessarily very receptive in giving it back to the woman. And men sometimes, I can't go down on a woman. It's not right. It's not biblical. The same mouth I used to go down, I have to go and preach in church or read the Bible or those kind of things. But what are your thoughts about it? Do you also believe that men are the general recipients of it? And how can women sort of express themselves sexually more to be able to indulge in that even more?
I think that the different, sides to this, as much as we all know the men enjoy or think it's their right to have oral sex and not women's rights. I mean, that's sort of, the general consensus, because I get too many women DMing me, talking to me about men not wanting to go down on them. And I ask them lots and lots of questions before I make some kind of a conclusion. But the thing is, when it comes to our African women, for instance, majority of them are not really very secure about their bodies, first of all. And then we're still opening their legs to somebody. I mean, most of them haven't even seen their vagina. So I think they are a little bit shy. And also there's some religious connotations to a lot of all this kind of, that stops them. But if you ask me, I say that oral sex, giving it to the man or woman, really should be reserved for when we are in a committed relationship. Only because we don't know, as the doctor said, what kind of diseases or whatever it is that they're carrying. As much as I like to say that, listen, if somebody's willing to give it to you when you just met them, that's okay. But there are risks to it, of course. So as a mother, I cannot advocate for that. But I think it's something you add to spice up your relationship, something to make things a little bit more exciting. Because obviously you can use a finger, it's a different kind of climax. If you use your tongue, it's a different kind of climax. There's so many different types of climaxes with different acts. And that's if you've tried them all, which I probably have. But, so I'm saying that it's just a great add-on. So if you haven't been with a partner for a very long time, I don't advise it, because there aren't many people who are actually really that clean or even know they have any kind of diseases. And that's what I also, find out a lot on the net. Some come to me and say they're having a little bit of discharge. It's hurting down there. They don't know what's going on. I say, go and see a doctor. They're scared. So, I mean, I do understand both scenarios, but I think oral sex is such a beautiful thing. It's just a way to get really, really close to your partner or somebody that you enjoy being with, and it's really very pleasurable. And I know that a lot of men think that giving it to a woman means you have to be committed. I don't understand how that, works for them, especially when they want it. Because they think that it's okay because theirs is protruding and the woman because it's internal. Bullshit. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Can I say bullshit? But no, I won't. Okay, I said it. But
you already did.
It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So I say that if you want somebody to give it to you, then you better want to give it. Otherwise, I think it should be off the table unless you have a committed relationship.
All right, I like that. Now, I'll come to you on the issue of porn that has sort of created this whole perception on constantly receiving oral sex, because, and I'll start with Helen and Miss Judy on that, because porn has sort of normalized certain sexual acts. So things that initially were a bit more reserved, a bit more not really seen or expressed, because of the normalization of porn or the constant viewing of it, I would assume. It sort of created this whole perception of how sex should be, and also normalized an act such as oral sex. Is this a true assessment to make? Is porn really changing how people view sex?
I would say that, yeah. For a lot of people, the way that they view sex, the way that they have sex is shaped by what they see in porn. So for men, they think that if they do what the male porn star is doing, so going really fast and hard and being very aggressive, then it means the woman is going to enjoy it. Yeah. But from what you'll find like later on in life as you get older is that the porn stars are faking it, the real women are faking it. Listen, all the women are faking it, really. If you go by what you see, it's all fake. A lot of women will just go along just to, get it over and done with, really. So I feel as though, a lot of us were influenced by what we saw online, which isn't really what real sex is like. But in terms of whether or not I think porn has influenced, how much oral sex people have. I'm pretty sure, like my grandmother's great grandmother and they were all involved. I'm sure. I mean, I don't know what the evidence is, but surely people were curious to see, well, what would happen if, I mean, I'm sure they were curious. What would happen if
Should I put my mouth on that?
So I don't think it's the advent of porn that has led people to include oral sex, into the mix. But it's definitely shaped how, I would say, especially young men indulge in it. They think, whatever they see on there is what should be done. And it's sometimes, or for the most part, completely the opposite. It's not realistic. And, especially just in terms of what the women look like. Like, everything is shaved down there and it looks completely different and different, and you only see one type of anatomy.
Down there. It's all smooth. Thank you very much. It looks exactly like that. Thank you.
Well, thank you for clarifying.
Definitely, that's something else that we can add to the list that we know about you. We didn't know enough already.
Yes, please.
No, but Seven, let me bring you to the conversation here. Do you think that the more people watch porn, the more it has shaped their normalization of oral sex in general?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I think a lot of people learn about sex through porn because nobody's going to teach you how to sit on a woman or make love to them from behind. You either learn on the go or you watch porn. And porn is so easily accessible that so yes, they get a lot of their what they know from porn. As much as I think porn can be very addictive. And a lot of the African men, because of ignorance, they really don't know how to rationalize what's going on. They just, I'm so generalizing, but some are really quite, ignorant when it comes to sex. So they think, I mean, I hear a lot of men say, they like it hard. I want me to pump it, and maybe they don't even consider the fact that the woman doesn't come from just being penetrated. They might need a bit of help with their tongue, or they might need some fingers. And they think that's all it is. So because they have a big penis and then they can just pump away, the woman will feel really good. And that's because of porn, of course, because they see the men pumping and the woman going, and it's like, that kind of thing. That's it. And women, to be nice, we tend to, fake it, especially if you want the guy to stay with you and think that you are like, he's like this, God, you fake it just to make them feel better. And also sometimes because you just want it over and done with. I mean, he's like, he's overdoing the pumping and you want him to stop. So I think if men start to realize that oral sex and using your fingers is really quite vital for at least 80% of women, who really need that extra stimulation to be able to climax. I always tell a lot of these guys that, listen, let your lady climax first, and then maybe you can penetrate, because the juices will still be flowing and they're still receptive to sex. Whereas men, when they come, they're done. Not all of them, mind, but they just like, okay, what do I have to do? And the finger is like, and they can't even find it. Some people put their tongue down there and they don't even know what they're licking. It's like they're just going and they don't know what it is. But the porn, if you watch porn, sometimes it can show you the clitoris and where you should be and what you should do. So I say that it can get very addictive. I'm not telling people to go and watch it, but I'm saying that it does help a lot of people to know what to do. Yeah. That's all.
Now, is there pressure, an unnecessary pressure on women to just perfect the act of oral sex, like know how to do it and do it very well, and then take it all the way down and extra? Helen, stop looking at me like that.
I like how you were about to give us a tutorial there. You take it all the way down, take it all the way side, take it all the way up, and then you stopped yourself.
I'm like, no.
You're now learning.
You would know. No. I read about it in a book.
A book, okay.
That sometimes you have to be a bit more. Yes. Sure.
AJ, sure. You learned it in a book.
Can't say the words. Me say the words and be free.
That people expect certain throat action and for you to not have a gag reflex and stuff. and there's now this pressure to constantly always try and do better and be the best that they probably ever had. Is that right to say?
I mean, well, we had to ask the men though, if a woman is better at oral sex, does that for them, say if there is a hierarchy, they're dating around and they're trying to settle down, if you are the best at it, do you get bumped up the list, for example? Is it like, I mean, if gentlemen that are listening, let us know.
You want to know?
Yeah, and like say you're dating around and there's one particular lady that's quite good at it. Does it make you think that,
Well, at least you're memorable.
You're memorable?
Yeah.
So I think that's why a lot of women are... somebody will say, well, this is what I did to get myself a new Benz, so you need to brush up.
I would actually think that if I want to receive the best, I should be giving the best out of me,
So you want to be...
I want to get the best out of you, so I need to give you my best also.
So he would now, but then the situation is you will give the best too, then they'll give you sloppy seconds.
No, he's doing it first, so obviously what you give me is what I give you.
Okay, so you match the output. If you are...
Okay.
So wait, would you purposely do that? Yes.
Has anybody heard of the Velveteen Rub?
The Abazi?
I see Velveteen Rub.
Please break it down for us, Stephanie.
Velveteen who?
We're talking about blowjob, right?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, have you heard of the Velveteen Rub? No?
No. Stephanie, please give us a lesson on that.
Okay, the Velveteen Rub is when you put the penis in your mouth, you put your lips over your teeth, just so it creates like a suction mode, and also it makes a man feel very comfortable with his penis in your mouth.
Wait, your tongue over your
No, you put your lips over your teeth. It's almost like you have no teeth, and then when you put it in, yes, it creates like almost like a suction. It almost mimics the vagina, but obviously it's better because it's got like a suction with it. So then you can suck, and he feels comfortable and he feels embraced inside, and it can tighten as well. So, sometimes when you're giving a man a blowjob, he's always a bit worried that your teeth might catch it. Some women not really that good.
Okay. Stressful.
I think I'm getting it.
So it's actually really comfortable when you do it. And then
I'm sorry, they're gonna get what they get. Okay, they're gonna have to take what they get.
No, see, that's where you get bumped up the hierarchy.
I need to learn about this Velveteen Rub.
Okay, so some practical tips there.
Yes.
So okay. I think I'm figuring it out. Okay. Thank you for that, Stephanie. I shall tell others to put it to practice. No, but the way Helen just looked at me as if you're not going to put it into practice.
Hey.
Let me give another tip.
Please go ahead. We like it.
Let me give another tip. When you're giving a blowjob, sometimes when you're giving a blowjob and you're just holding, especially if he has a really big penis or even a small one actually, and you're holding and it's a bit too big, you can use both hands. But let the other hand, the penis extends right underneath the balls as well. So what is it's a good thing to do is just stroke upwards with your finger over the balls, over the penis. It's an amazing feeling. So while you're sucking, you are stroking the balls from underneath, where the penis is, just underneath the balls.
Wow.
And then go upwards from the butt area upwards as you suck. It's an amazing climax. So that's another tip. This for free.
Right. Thank you so much for that.
The doctor is looking a little lost, but he knows what I mean. We've had that before.
Shout out to DJ Phil for that. Some practical lessons there. Thank you, Stephanie. Yeah. Okay. Now coming back to the conversation on I even lost what the question was.
Find it.
Okay, but there seems to be an unnatural pressure, and I'll come to you, Miss Judy. Pressure for women to perfect it, always be the ones that are constantly, if and then
learning,
giving, and thinking of new ways to pleasure the men, as against the men actually taking their time to learn to pleasure the women. Is this not an unnatural balance?
I think it is. I think it's an unnatural balance, because one of the things that I realized over the years is most women don't enjoy penetrative sex, or maybe they don't get there. So I think, and a man would get there once it's penetrative, no matter what.
Yeah.
I sometimes feel like the men should rather kind of concentrate more on our system than we spending all our years, trying to please them and let them get there. Because an orgasm is an orgasm for the guys. But do we really work on ourselves? Like, do we really even know what makes us get there as women?
Yeah.
And these men are not also wasting their time or spending time helping us get to know how our body works, how we should be treated. For me, oral sex is the ish, really.
Oh,
Okay. We like that.
All right, Miss Judy.
Come on.
But
she can't say with her full chest she's married. So.
Okay.
Because
I guess.
it helps you to concentrate,
Oh, okay.
Hey,
No, continue.
I think we should.
Respect yourself. Okay, so
I'm learning new things
on the
today.
issue of
She said
concentration,
concentrate.
yes.
Once you're comfortable with a person, because it's open, he sees everything, he's able to work it out very well. So once you're comfortable with a person, I think oral sex is really the ish, to help a woman get there. Because clitoral sex, 100%. Once he's doing it right, it would work out. So I think men should rather spend most of their time trying to understand how our body works and work on us rather than that's what traditionals brought us to.
Yeah.
Women are supposed to please their men.
Yes.
We are supposed to lie down so that
They walk all over to a large extent.
unfortunately that's not where we are right now. We also want to enjoy pleasure. We want to get there. So I think the reverse should happen.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I think women also these days are being more vocal about what they enjoy.
Okay.
I've got to be honest in that I think I've also seen a bit of a shift. So yes, I think still a lot of women are under pressure to please their men, know how to be good at oral sex and have all the tips and tricks, but I am seeing a trend where men are also seemingly eager to learn about their partner's bodies and also perform in that department, but I think the skills are still unbalanced. But I am seeing a move towards effort being made on women's pleasure. I think men now know that for a long time women have been faking and will fake it just to kind of get on with the evening. It's not really going well, but what can you do? You want it to be over. You just, it is what it is. And I think more men want to take pride in being that guy, because if the word of mouth is good,
Others will subscribe.
no pun intended. No pun intended. You feel me? If the PR is strong, get me, then they might have repeat customers or new customers. So I think men are also putting a premium on how well they perform. As we see a shift from this sort of porn world into real life, I think we're seeing that happen.
Okay, I like that. Now let me bring Doc into the conversation quickly on the issue of female pleasure. For the longest time, sometimes it's not been the center of a lot of relationships. Like the men usually think of their pleasure first before the woman. But in this situation where a lot of women get or reach orgasm better with oral sex than against penetrative sex. Now, are there any studies to that effect that you've seen? And is there a way in which women can start to reach their peak, for lack of a better word, in more ways, or make it a little safer for men to indulge more in oral sex so that women can be able to reach their peak quickly? I don't know if the question is clear.
I think I have a fair idea what you are asking. Well, it's true that most women don't get to orgasm from penetration. It's usually from the stimulation, and the clitoris is the most sensitive part of the female genital area. So yes, a lot of stimulation of the clitoris and the vulva area helps with women attaining orgasm. So men would have to invest time in stimulating their partners to help them reach orgasm rather than always just concentrating on penetration. So it's key. And the stimulation, whether oral, with the tongue or with the lips or with the fingers or whatever, you just learn your act well and then you pleasure your partner.
Okay, but are you seeing more people coming into hospital based on effects of oral sex in some way, or shape, or form?
Well, I think what you may not be able to establish is whether it was through oral sex that the person got the. Ghanaians are not forthcoming, or Africans are not forthcoming with discussing these things openly. So yes, you may know it's probably an STI that the person has contracted, but to be able to drill down and establish whether it was through an oral sex encounter or otherwise, that is difficult to establish. But men will typically walk in and tell you they've had an encounter with somebody and they think that is a reason why they are having some discharge or some burning sensation on passing urine or others. You find men walking in more with such after an act with a female, especially ones they don't trust, to come and get screened for infections. You find more of that than women walking in for such random checks. But to be able to establish whether the cause is from oral sex or not, that I've not come across any particular study that shows the prevalence or how often we are recording such.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Obiriabwa. I'll bring Stephanie back into the conversation quickly because I want to speak about women being sexually expressive. For the longest time, women have felt very repressed when it comes down to, or have been told to repress their sexual desires, or their need, or their wants, or their preferences, really. And as the years have gone on, women have become a lot more expressive when it comes to their sexuality. But the problem is, people are still, at least in this side of the world, still have problems accepting women that are sexually expressive. Stephanie, in this particular point, do people still judge? Or is judgmental people still high on the list when it comes down to how women can express their sexuality?
Yes, there's no question. Women feel judged all the time. In fact, I think they judge themselves first, and they allow the judgment to come into their soul, and it affects everything they do and how they are in the bedroom. And also, there's certain criteria that men look for that some women feel like they're not able to live up to. So then that also stops them feeling even that much more comfortable in the bedroom. Because I always say that if you insult a woman outside the bedroom, how is she going to feel comfortable allowing her body, just to relax in the bedroom and giving you everything that you need. See, men complain about their wives and or long-term partners not being amazing in the bedroom, or being expressionate, or even showing that they're in the mood for sex, or even if they do, they're judged. They talk about that, but then they put them down. I mean, they insult them. You don't look a certain way. You're too fat. You don't cook enough. You're not. All those kind of things. I mean, I think just those negative, putting a woman down. Like, you expect a woman to clean for you when you come home without helping. Instantly, now you've labeled her. She's not your partner anymore. She becomes your mother. So how do you expect it to be, sexy for you when you get to the bedroom? It gets into their head, with a lot of women. Yeah. So I think we have to see our partners, especially women, as equals, because that's what they are. Yeah. It doesn't matter whether you're the money earner and they're not. You married them. You become equals when you get married. So if you want the best out of your wife, you have to make her feel good. You have to tell her how amazing she is all the time and mean it. You can't dismiss her advice to you and her just anything she wants to talk to you about, and then expect her to give herself to you. So I just think that we have to assess all of that and allow our women to be the best we possibly can be, and then they'll be the best wives for you, instead of them then going off somewhere to go and try something else that they think would be better for them. Because the women give up, so then the men look elsewhere. Yeah, and that's the problem. So I do want women to be a little bit more adventurous with themselves. They should get to know their bodies. I know that's something that people say you shouldn't do, but you should. You have to get to understand your body, what makes you tick, what makes you feel good. and then you can be able to express it to your partner when you're in the bedroom. I don't, listen, if the guy is going to complain about it, let him complain, but at least try. Some of them might be receptive. A lot of women give up before they even try. They say, oh, if I try, you'll say I'm a bad girl.
Yeah.
Try it.
Try it first, and then you just never know. Thank you.
That's what I
No, sorry to cut you. No, I was running up, but please end on that note.
Oh yeah. So so I just want women to be a little bit more comfortable with themselves. Generally that's it. I just really want them to be comfortable with themselves. Stand in the mirror every day, look at yourself in the mirror, appreciate what it is you have. I don't care whether your stomach is big, your butt is saggy. Just look at what you have first and see what you can work with. If you want to change something, as in exercise to get better, and I know some people say, hey, Stephanie, I can't exercise. But it releases all kinds of it changes your mindset. When you exercise, even if it's just 5 minutes, you do something that will make you feel good. You get a spring in your step when you exercise. So people don't understand when I'm like this because they think, oh, but no, it's only because I exercise. I'm like on the board. I remember things better. I'm always, I'm lighter on my feet. So I just want them to do more for themselves instead of take the shortcuts. Give up before you start. Listen, I've been married 34 years. Ooh. My husband obviously would be bored of me by now. I mean, really. But I refuse to let him get bored with me.
Yes, we love it. We love it so much. And thank you, Stephanie, for joining us on this conversation with my ladies on Keeping It Real. Always a pleasure having you on. And
hi, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. And wrapping it up in 30 seconds, I'll start with Miss Judy on the issue of oral sex.
I think, as she said, get comfortable. Know what actually turns you on. Know your body. Yeah. And teach your partner to give you the utmost pleasure.
Okay. And Helen, who's a little too excited.
Send your weather now. Send your weather.
Yeah, too happy.
And that's all I have to say about this. But listen, just as Doc said, it's nice to balance the conversation.
Yeah. Yes,
we want everybody to have a fulfilled, healthy, active sex life. As citizens, we're going through enough as it is. IMF, economic woes. That's a little way to, unwind, relieve the stress.
Yes, more enjoyment.
But of course, more enjoyment. But of course, with people that you trust, care about, love. So it's more intimate and it's safe.
Yeah.
So, send your weather now, do the needful, guys.
Let's get it on.
So
thank you so much, Doc, for joining us. Dr. Kweku Obri Yeboah, family physician specialist and chief medical officer at Health Net Medical Center in Airport Residential. I know it because I live close to it. And Stephanie Benson, international musician, all-round cool woman and women's rights advocate. Thank you so much for joining us, Stephanie. And of course, Miss Judy, Helen, and myself, AJ Sapon. It's time for us to make our way for the news to come through, and as well, Akofa will be in with a wind down. Thank you for listening to Keeping It Real. Shout out to DJ Phil for all the cool tracks. We'll be back next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. right here on 3FM.
Keeping It Real with AJ, Edith, and Helen on 3FM 92.7.